What's happening, y'all? It's me coming back at you again with another vid. Well, it looks like the pay-per-view numbers have came in, and before the Ward and Kovalev fight, the number that's supposed to be that's rumored at this moment is an estimate at this point. The estimate amount is between 160 to 170,000 pay-per-view buys. Um, and with in addition to that, the neighborhood of the tickets sold at the gate was 13,000. So if you do the math, the pay-per-view itself cost, what was it? $54.95, I believe, and $64.95 HD. So if you do the math, if you do the number, if you sum this up correctly, the average number is probably what, $60, so $59.99. So you take that number and you put that into 170K. That's roughly about close to over $10 million. So if you take that number and take the number of tickets they sold at the gate, which is an average of $50, so that's probably over a little bit under 800,000. Let's say it's about $800,000 they sold at the gate. So if you take the 10 million plus 800, the total revenue for the fight was probably $18 million. $18 million for the revenue of the fight, minus the purses that was paid for the Golovkin and not Golovkin, minus the purses that was paid for each fighter. Kovalev got $5 million. Kovalev got $2 million, and Andre Ward got $5 million. Nonetheless, I don't know if either fighter was guaranteed a pay-per-view share split, so I don't know about that. I'm not sure if they were guaranteed line shares. However, this is only total revenue. The number doesn't account for the number of the marketing dollars that was spent to advertise this fight as well. So, plus the licensing fees and the production costs, etc., etc. So, if this number does stay intact, I would say the pay-per-view would be a slight flop. And the reason why I say that is because, of course, the numbers seem very disappointing, but the gate didn't really make up for that. So, it'd be a slight flop, which I did predict, and I had a conversation with some of my buddies offline and some people online as well, that I don't think this pay-per-view would do 300,000 buys or even 200,000 buys. I know Rock Nation executives were really optimistic about this doing 600,000 buys. I don't know why would they think that, because their fighter Ward, and I like Andre, let's be real here, Andre's not a crossover fighter. He doesn't have the casual appeal. Yeah, he may have that appeal in Oakland, that's about it, but outside of Oakland, he's not really known elsewhere. Same thing with Sergey Kovalev. He's not a known fighter everywhere. Yeah, he may be a known fighter in his hometown Russia, but other than that, he's not known anywhere else around the world. So to me, this fight, if they were going to bank on estimates, they should at least estimate 150K buys for this fight. And to me, if the numbers do stay intact, my prediction, like I said, I would estimate $50,000 buys. But if the numbers do stay, if they do stay intact, then yes, 160,000 buys is would be the rational number for this fight of this magnitude to a degree. And another point I wanted to point out is that the casuals are the ones who spent money on this fight. Not casuals. The hardcore the hardcore fans were the ones who spent their dollars on this fight, and including myself. And to be honest, it was worth every penny, and I wasn't disappointed because we saw a great fight. So. Yeah, but the source of this article is on Boxing News 24. The writer who wrote the article is now named Dan Ambrose, and Boxing News 24, they put out good pieces to some degree. But looking at this article by Dan Ambrose, I'm not saying anything he's writing is factual, because he's also put in an opinion as well. So this is more of an opinion op-ed. If you think about it, this is more of an opinionated piece than a factual piece. And what I mean by that is that when I look at the length of the article, he's writing his opinion about how the fight went down, how he scored it. He scored it 9-3 for Kovalev, which is very laughable. So he said at first I scored it 8-4 for Kovalev, but watching again, I scored it 9-3. Okay. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. Then he went on to say that, well, since the numbers are a failure, there's no way the rematch, there's no justification of the rematch being held on pay-per-view, which I would agree on. If the numbers do stay intact, then I don't think this rematch should be showcased on pay-per-view. It should be on HBO broadcast. Okay? Now, if you were to put it on pay-per-view, this is according to Dan Ambrose. He said that you should put it on the undercard of Golovkin versus Jacobs once that fight gets signed and delivered. And that would guarantee 300,000 buys. Well, you know what? Dan may have a bit of a point there because, again, Andre Ward and Sergey Kovalev. Well, because maybe many people argue that Andre Ward was the main attraction for this pay-per-view with Kovalev, so he could bring 150,000 people to buy. However, Gennady Golovkin, when he headlined the pay-per-view with David Lemieux, he only drew under 998,000 buys. So 300,000 buys, that's really stretching it, because Golovkin himself is not really he's not really a crossover star as we thought he would be after all the marketing and the advertising that HBO put into that Lemieux fight. There's many casuals that I talk to still don't know who the guy is. So Dan, to say that, I think you're stretching that out too far. I think if you were to put Kovalev and Ward on the undercard, and along with Golovkin and Jacobs to headline a pay-per-view, it'll probably do under 200,000. To be honest, under 200,000. No way it will get over 250,000, in my opinion. No way in hell. No way. Now, yeah, so that's your whole spiel on that. Again, I know a lot of Golovkin supporters are going to really bash this. They're going to go at this is giving them more leverage to go after Andre Ward. I mean, hey, it's their prerogative. But I do have to point out, though, it's very bizarre behavior, the way they've been behaving ever since this fight. It's been 1 week later, and they're still talking about how Kovalev got robbed. I mean, seriously, I don't understand why. Majority of the electorate agreed that this fight was close. It could have gone either way. Some people say that, they could see Kovalev win it. Some people say that they could see Ward winning it. Oh, by the way, HBO's Jim Lampley and Max Kellerman came out and said that, after watching the fight again, they could see how Andre Ward won the fight. It was a very close fight. It could have gone either way. There was no robbery. So what does that tell you? Yeah. Very interesting. But until then, let's see if another source confirms this pay-per-view result from Ward and Kovalev. I'll post a link to the article below. You guys can take a look at it, come to your conclusions. Care to comment, share, subscribe. Signing off. Peace.